Good morning and welcome to Glenwood Lutheran Church. My name is Pastor Mark Manning. I want to thank you for tuning into this week's video devotional, or as we gather today, a little bit of a historical lesson as we begin the season of Advent. I want to tell you a little bit about the history of Advent so you can maybe understand a little bit how it operates and what the context of it is. Most of us have grown up with Advent. We don't think really twice about it. It's just this part leading into Christmas. I want to do a little bit more to flesh that out and maybe help you to gain some insight into how and why we observe it. First, you need to understand that Advent really becomes a lead into Christmas after the date of Christmas is set. And that doesn't happen for several hundred years after the time of Christ. The early church then sets a date for the birth, for Christmas of the 25th of December. And it does it. It chooses the darkest time of the year, a season of darkness, to then celebrate the one whom the author of the Gospel of John calls the light of the world. There's an intentionality about doing that, taking the darkness, which is not going to be overcome, and talking about the light of the world, Jesus, during the darkest time. And so this time before Christmas becomes a time, much like Lent, to prepare for a season. Remember that Christmas is not just one day. In the church, Christmas is 12 days long. It's a season. And so we have then a season of preparation for that season as well. Initially, the preparation for Lent was somewhat flexible, and Lent was really found in Spain and Europe starting in about the date 380 in the Christian era, in Spain and Europe, and especially named in the Council of Saragossa. And it is the Council of Saragossa meets because it has to deal with a heresy. The heresy is called Priscillianism. It's a Gnostic heresy that basically says something like this: there is a sharp division between light and dark, and body and soul, and this is the very basis of reality, and it has to counter that. And part of that is to declare that in the darkest part of the time of the world, in the northern hemisphere in December, there is this light that shines, and there's Christmas, and there is this time when you would celebrate this Advent, and I'll get to that in just a second. And they said you should just attend church daily between the 17th of December and the 29th of December. So that's sort of the beginning right there. Now, in the 5th and 6th centuries, it starts to engage and enlarge a little bit, and this is the result of a deeper understanding. The word Advent comes from the Greek word, well, it's the Latin word adventus. The Greek word is parousia. And the Greek word parousia means the coming of Christ. Now, the catch here that we have to understand is that this coming of Christ means both the first coming as a baby at Christmas, what we call Christmas, but also the final coming of Jesus that the Bible talks about, when he will come in to bring about the end of the age. And so Adventus, parousia and the Adventus speaks about both. And so consequently, we now have a season preparing for Christmas of 4 Sundays. The last 2 Sundays before Christmas talk about the first coming, about Jesus Christ going to be born anytime, coming soon. And the first 2 Sundays of Advent talk about Jesus' final coming, when he will come again to bring in the end, usher in the end of the age, the kingdom of God. Now, what's so important for us to understand it, you see, is that Advent just is not just a reenactment of the coming of Christ, but it's a wonderful reminder that we live in an in-between time, in between the first coming and the final coming. Advent reminds us not that we're just sort of getting the house in order and buying gifts and buying food and getting ready for one day of Christmas, but that we are living in between the time when Jesus first came as a child at Christmas season and the time when he comes finally and fully for us and all who have passed away and died in Jesus Christ. It's not really a preview meant to distract us from a secular holiday. Sometimes we approach it that way. Oh, we got to have this holy thing because there's so much commercialism and all this sort of going on. Let's do something holy. What it really is a way for us to chance to live out this in between time, recognizing that we are live in the wonderful time where we know Jesus Christ, but we wait for the wonderful time when we know him that much better. God bless you at the beginning of this Advent season.